One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he pays his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
We all magically made it to Fuck It Friday. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever the hell you guys are from. Much love, honor, respect to you, legends. As you guys may have seen or saw in the chat, I did go ahead and let you guys know that we do have a humongous news day. Usually we have anywhere around 6 to 7, sometimes 8 news stories, but today we have 16. So we're going to be flying through these this morning. Most likely there's going to be a lot of things that we don't like hearing, and we're just going to go ahead and go, well, we're going to skip this, or we're just going to end it and go into the next. So we have a huge morning, like I said. We got Trump to meet with Zohran, Mamdani. That is happening at 3 p.m. Eastern today. So obviously I'm not going to be live on the stream when that happens later today, but at least you guys know it's happening. We also have an update regarding DC National Guard and their latest, things that are happening. There was a federal judge, I believe, that has labeled it illegal for Trump to use the National Guard the way that he did in DC. So we're going to talk about that as well. We have Congress, military video, and more. But really, I couldn't fit everything in this title. Obviously, we have so much shit going on today. So we have this whole thing going on with stocks, and there's like this new stock act that is, I guess, being proposed or something. Nonetheless, on the stock trade, Republican lawmaker wants congressional ban. I'm not really sure what they're getting at on that, but that's going to be our first news story today. President Bush actually delivers tribute to Dick Cheney. As you guys know, Dick Cheney was the vice president for George Bush. So that's going to be definitely interesting to hear what Bush has to say about that. Then we have, as of yesterday, man sets woman on fire on Chicago train, and it has been labeled a terrorist attack. Absolutely terrible. That was a wild situation over there in Chicago. Obviously, we'll get into it. White House responds to Quiet Piggy comment. Now, I'm not really sure about this Quiet Piggy comment. It sounds like something Trump would say, but it sounds like Caroline Leavitt is getting asked about that comment, and we have that ironically for you guys. Then we have full remarks by Mamdani, remarks ahead of the White House meeting with Trump. As you guys know, he spoke yesterday. Most likely you guys would know because I didn't tell you yet, but he spoke before meeting up with Trump today, which is happening today. So he spoke to his people yesterday over there in New York. And then we have, man, what a morning. Judge rules Trump administration National Guard deployment in DC is illegal. Holy fuck, dude.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Trains, buses see resurgence after shutdown chaos at airports, as you guys would expect that to be the case. And then the stock market reversal, NVIDIA shares fall after post-earnings rally. Interesting, because that is one of the stocks that I actually own is NVIDIA. But that is not my entire portfolio by any means. Anyways, Epstein files, when will they be released? That is the question the mainstream media is asking. Of course, we will go ahead and bring you guys as much information on that as possible. Then we have an update on the cruise ship death, as we've been talking about throughout this entire week. Teen's stepbrother now is a suspect. So the girl that died, now the brother of her, is now a suspect. I'm not sure why, but we do have that information for you guys here coming up. Now, here's an interesting thing that happened last night. They came out and said U.S. added surprising 119,000 jobs, delayed September report shows. Now, here's the thing. I'm not really sure how that's even humanly possible when we've laid off so many people. Maybe we've added 119,000 jobs with, the big amount of investments that are happening and stuff like that for the country. But meanwhile, hundreds of thousands of jobs have been taken off the workforce. I mean, it's amazing how many people have been furloughed or let go from their job or fired. But nonetheless, they're saying 119,000 jobs were added, but that is not considering how many jobs were removed. So anyways, Trump calls Democrats' message to military seditious behavior, in quote unquote. New Trump peace proposal includes Ukraine concessions to Russia. Now that's an interesting development. When I saw that this morning as a title, I was like, oh shit, that's a big one right there. Trump administration proposes plan for new oil drilling off of the coast of California and Florida. Also, another interesting development. Truthfully, if we have the oil here, I don't know why we're not drilling it ourselves. It could be a lot cheaper if we do it here domestically, and we refine a lot of our shit, obviously, here in the United States. So the price of petroleum products for, your gas, diesel, and stuff would come down. Anyways, so then there's another update this morning. St. Louis airport shooting, one dead after a knife incident with airport police. Sounds like a suicide by cop situation here, but I'm not really sure what's happening yet. And then, as you guys do know, an hour ago, the mainstream media came out and said Mamdani meets with Trump at the White House. And yes, that is happening this today. I'm sure he arrived here sometime this morning and will be speaking at 3 p.m. Eastern. So that is our morning for this morning. It's a little bit of a wild morning, as you guys can obviously see, but I just wanted to shout all of that out real quick before we get into it. We got Sterling Wheel coming in with the 2 months, by the way. Very much appreciate that. Saying, good morning, kids. Prepare for free memberships. And that's exactly what happened. I very much appreciate that, Sterling. Thank you for gifting out 10 fucking memberships. That's humongous. That is huge, man. I'm very appreciative. Shit. Very much appreciate that. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this, and we'll bring this up, and we'll go ahead and talk about it. Oh, shit. You know what we haven't done yet is our call to actions. Make sure you guys hit that like button. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. If you guys are brand new to the show, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button because it's also free. But please consider becoming a member, starting only at $2.99 a month. Making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to keep these lights on and be on these airwaves. So I very much appreciate you guys becoming members and then staying members. But a little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time. This is a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. Make sure you guys join up on the Discord as well. We have a Discord server for all of you legends in here. We have the majority of you guys in there, but we are still slacking on about 2% of you guys in the Breakfast Club. So make sure you guys join up on that. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live onto the show and shouted out. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, well, then we have these platforms right here that you guys can donate to. And, of course, I'll read it out loud like as if it's a super chat. So I've got it up. So if anything comes through, I will absolutely get to it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to get right into this. I'm super sorry that I've got to skip the chat and the hellos and all that stuff this morning because, as you guys see, we have a huge morning here and we got to get to it.
Top of the hour, though, I do want to get you right back into your headlines, taking a live look over the Capitol building here in D.C. as the House Administration Committee on Wednesday debated a potential ban on lawmaker stock trading. The hearing that we brought you here live was titled Taking Stock of the Stock Act, in an address.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what the Stock Act is here yet. So obviously he's going to be talking about it. I have yet to hear about it.
Growing concern over potential conflicts of interest and explored proposals to improve transparency and accountability.
Shit. I don't know why I didn't see this. Papa Penguin coming in for the 22 months, by the way, saying membership has its perks. Get yours today and get access to the Super Secret Saturday show. Yes, that is absolutely right. We're going to be back, obviously, tomorrow morning for the members-only live streams where we're quite a bit uncensored and we have a great-ass time. So, Papa Penguin, thank you so much for the 22 months. That's huge. That is huge. You guys are making this rain in the chat this morning. I'm very appreciative of you guys, man. Thank you for that.
Here from Congressman Brian Stile, a Wisconsin Republican. He's the chair of the House Administration Committee, and he actually joins us live now to discuss more about it. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course. And first off, for folks who just kind of get bits and pieces of all of this and maybe didn't see the hearing here yesterday, can you explain overall what the purpose was?
I held a hearing yesterday because my basic premise is that members of Congress should not be able to enrich themselves from insider information. If you want to make a living trading stocks, you should go to Wall Street, not to Capitol Hill. Then we look back 13 years at the Stock Act. That's the rules and regulations that currently govern members' ability to trade.
Steve Easy, I think most of us are actually currently doing that, even the ones that supported and voted for him. Absolutely.
Trade stocks and do other financial activities, and said, are there reforms that are necessary to really instill trust from the American people in Congress? There's been a lot of reports, both online and
what's up, Brother Stacks? Good morning.
Social media about members trading stocks to their profit. I think we have an opportunity to strengthen the rules to truly prevent members of Congress.
So is this regards to inside trading? That's what I hope that this is about. You know what I mean?
From gaining any sort of financial benefit with inside information they may gain on Capitol Hill.
We got Road Rage up in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Fuck It Friday morning.
During that hearing, and again, we broadcast it live here on Live Now from Fox, did you get any new insights, anything that the experts had to say that kind of caught your attention or maybe even caught you off guard?
Well, we brought
Steve Posey, that is true to an extent. I think because it's not being super highlighted in the mainstream media this second. As soon as the ballroom is finished, I think you're going to hear a lot of bullshit, unfortunately, which I don't see necessary for, but you know how the left is going to react to it.
In the experts, because what we want to do is get this right. There's been attempts in Congress to rush this process and ultimately resulting in failure. What I want to do is take the basic premise, which is actually incredibly simple, that members of Congress should not profit from insider information, and then get the nuance of that correct.
Which I agree with that. Anybody that insider trade bullshit, if you have a better advantage than anybody else in society, that's fucking pretty lame in my opinion. Now, here goes the truth though. When you do become a part of Congress, such as Senate or the House, whatever the case is, when you get in, unfortunately, you do get some information that the rest of society does not get. So you definitely have some information that could help you financially, obviously. So I'm very interested on how the Stock Act is going to stop the insider trading bit, right? So I want to know how that is.
Sure that we're blocking all the potential loopholes. We discussed spouses, we discussed dependent children. And if you think of a traditional family, maybe that's pretty easy to understand. If you end up in a family where maybe you have an adopted child, you're under a divorce or law decree in a given state, there's some complexities that we have to work around. But I believe that we can do that and at the end of the day still get to the right result, which is preventing members of Congress from financially benefiting from insider information. So it's more than just the member. It's going to involve spouse and dependent children. And we got to make sure that we get this right. And then we need to build consensus here on Capitol Hill to get this passed, not only in the House, but across the United States Senate and signed into law.
Well, I mean, it will be interesting to see how, is this something that has already been implemented? That's something that I don't know yet. Is this an act that is to be implemented, or is it already implemented? And I'm not willing to sit here for the remainder of it because we got so much to get over to cover this morning. So if you guys know in the chat if it's already been implemented, let me know. Anyways, President Bush delivers tribute to Dick Cheney. As you guys know, we reported on Dick Cheney's death, and he was the vice president for President Bush. So it is fitting that Bush would go ahead and have a speech on him. So let's go ahead and see what he says. We're not going to go ahead and play the whole thing here, but we are going to hear a little bit of what Bush has to say here.
Lynn, Liz, and Mary, and all the Cheney family, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate this chance to say a few words about a man I was proud to call my vice president.
Okay, so it was passed way back in 2012. Well, look how fucking well it's prevented them from doing anything. It's so crazy.
And my friend. Though not a happy assignment, I do consider it an easy one, because there was so much to like and admire about Dick Cheney. Dick was a stoical man, and I doubt he left his life with any complaints about the time given to him or its end. He was also a grateful man, grateful above all for 3 loyal, loving women who shared in his journey. As I quickly discovered in 2000, when you choose one Cheney, you get 4. His busy and purposeful life was an adventure they experienced together. In a family so close, you dread the day when the circle is broken. Lynn and the girls, Heather, Phil, and all the grandchildren, he sure loved you all, and he was proud of his family. I hope it helps to know that many people in this country share your sense of loss, and we're here today as your friends. 25 years ago, I had a big choice to make, a big job to fill. I want to know all my options, so I enlisted the help of a distinguished former White House Chief of Staff and Secretary of Defense to lead my search for running mate. Dick Cheney and I went through the files name by name.
Yeah, I don't know. People's opinions of people dramatically change when they die. Have you guys ever noticed that? Like, this guy's a fucking asshole, and then all of a sudden he dies, and now everyone's like, oh, he was such a legend. Like, this guy was a fucking dickhead. He was a warmonger. He was, like, this guy was not a benefit to the United States, in my humble opinion. But anyways, I don't care for this whole speech. I just wanted to show you guys that this did happen. I'm sure that this is going to be a wine over the top over the guy, and I'm really not interested, to be quite honest. As you guys know, we have way too much to get through anyways. Man sets woman on fire in Chicago train, and it was labeled as a terrorist attack. Now, this happened, I'm not too sure if this happened a couple of weeks ago. I think that's what happened here. And then it made the mainstream yesterday. So let's go ahead and figure out what the fuck is happening here over there in Chicago.
Story that we are following very closely. It takes us out to Chicago in Illinois. A man now federally charged after setting a woman on fire on the train.
Damn.
We do have our team down at Fox 32. Our reporter Roseanne there is joining us live. And Roseanne, this is quite the investigation that's underway.
Right. It was a horrendous incident, but a pretty quick investigation because they made their arrest yesterday, as you reported. Lawrence Reed, who's 50 years old, is now charged with terrorism.
Yo, real quick, we got my man Roger in the building. I know exactly who this man is. This man is the one that helps me out with these right here. Shit. Very much appreciate you, kind sir. Great to see you in here. Became a YouTube member. I very much appreciate that. That is the man right there. Much love, honor, and respect to you, kind sir. Great to see you in the chat.
On mass transit. He's been charged with setting a fire before. In fact, he set a fire at our Thompson government building here in Chicago years ago. But since 2017, he's been charged with everything from criminal damage to property, to possession of a controlled substance, and battery for punching women in the face. Well, now we know that Reed purchased gasoline shortly before the CTA attack. Authorities shared that video with us, and prosecutors showed CTA video that shows this man confronting a woman as she sat on the train. He walks up, pours gasoline on her. Then as she
pours gasoline on this broad and then lights her on fire. Holy fuck, dude.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
What kind of fucked up individual you gotta be to do some shit like this? I would kind of understand a little bit if it was like gang on gang violence or some bullshit. But what did this woman do?
Tries to run. He has a small bottle of gas that he ignites and begins to start her on fire. She's just 26 years old. She's in critical condition.
Typical subjects here.
U.S. attorneys had this to say yesterday.
Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases. Reed had plenty of second chances by the criminal justice system, and as a result,
he probably had more than second chances. He probably got let out from fucking jail or prison probably like 6-7 times. I can guarantee that. We got such a corrupt judicial system, especially when it comes down to these judges and these corrupt DA. Unfortunately, these guys let out idiots like this all day long, but meanwhile, we'll hold you in a cell for fucking 20 years because you sold weed one time 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like some bullshit. It's unreal what we deal with here in the United States regards to the judicial system. It is as corrupt as it can get.
You have an innocent victim in the hospital fighting for her life. Because of the swift action of CPD, ATF...
Yo, Agrippa's coming in with the 5 gifted memberships. Yo! I very much appreciate that, kind sir. I don't know why I just glitched like that. Let me reset. Shit. Now it feels ultra good to be a G.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
You know what I mean?
Denied.
All right, we're getting back into this. Agrippa's, thank you very much for the 5 gifted memberships, man. That not only helps me, but it helps 5 others in the Breakfast Club. So I very much appreciate that.
Our law enforcement partners, there will be no other chances for Mr. Reed.
Right. And that gentleman was actually with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives.
What's up, Miss Lotus? Good morning to you.
Which also took part in this investigation. Now, if this man is found guilty, he is in federal custody and will face life in prison. And that's the latest on this story from Chicago. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much there for that update. Truly a horrendous story that we're getting out of Chicago. We'll be checking in with you to see what updates we get later on. But I do want to play out some more of that press conference that we did have yesterday. So as our team at Fox 32 is reporting, and as I bring
Oh shit! So there was a whole press conference on this?
us out to this,
I'm sure there was.
That we have over in downtown Chicago. I do want to continue.
What's up, Motobomb? Good morning.
On with more from this story.
Well, let's see it. Switch it over. What's up, Frank?
To say this, that attack did spark outrage among riders and community advocates who say that the violence on the CTA has become increasingly alarming, and it was concerning there, given that situation. Now, like I said, just yesterday we did have a press conference in which the prosecutor in this case, the attorney there overseeing it, and some investigators are talking about these charges going forward and what may come of it. Let's get to some of those comments.
What's up, Taylor? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat as well.
Next.
Rabbit of Chaos and Christopher, good morning.
My name is
David
Boutros, and I'm the United States Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois. I'm here with my incredible partner, Chris Ammon, with ATF, as well as Nora Learson, the acting president of Chicago Transit Authority. Today, the Chicago U.S. Attorney's Office filed a federal terrorism charge against Lawrence Reed, a 50-year-old Chicago resident, in connection with a brutal and vicious attack on a young woman on the CTA Blue Line on Monday evening at approximately 9 p.m. The victim was riding northbound, approaching the Clark and Lake subway stop in the Loop, minding her own business and reading her phone, when the defendant doused her with gasoline and lit her on fire.
So fucking sad, bro. Like, what kind of piece of shit you gotta be to do that to someone?
The surveillance video is difficult to watch.
I'm
it's
sure.
Very disturbing, as a young woman was set ablaze and tried to put herself out while other passengers got out of the way or watched. When the train stopped and the victim was able...
What's up, Are We Not Men? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. We also got Alfred in the building. Shout out to you as well. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well.
To muster the strength to stumble on the platform, 2 good Samaritans put out the flames. She remains in critical condition.
So we actually had Samaritans actually put out the fire. 2 different people actually tried to help this woman and put out the fire on her. Now, they just said that she's in critical condition. So this means she is still alive right now. Wow. Oh, my God.
And we pray for the victim's recovery.
Oh, my God.
Mr. Reed is charged with committing a terrorist attack against the mass transportation system.
Right.
Specifically, the CTA.
Anytime you do some shit that can scare off people from using, any means of transportation, such as buses, trains, stuff like that, it can absolutely be labeled as a terrorist attack because you're actually preventing people from, actually using these services because they're scared of people like fucking that guy. And the other guy in, North Carolina or whatever, that stabbed that woman on the train, whatever, or the bus, whatever the case was. Those kind of things is exactly what prevents people. They're like, dude, people are fucking dying just getting on a bus. Like, I don't want to get on a bus anymore. Which is not supposed to be the case. It should be a place that or a means of transportation that you can use without fucking dying, getting doused with gasoline, lit on fire, stabbed in the neck, and no one help. You know what I mean? Like, it's fucking crazy.
Which, as most of you know, I have declared to be a part of the Project Safe Neighborhood Zone. Once our office became aware of this incident and the defendant's identity, our team and our law enforcement partners, particularly ATF and the Chicago Police Department, worked through the night to gather the evidence and help us bring swiftly the charge that we filed with the court late this morning. I'd like to thank Special Agent Chris Ammon with the ATF and his agents, as well as Superintendent Snelling and the Chicago Police Department and the Chicago Transit Authority for their incredible work and their assistance in this investigation. We will advise the court about this defendant and his criminal history and other such matters at the upcoming detention hearing, which will be this Friday at 10 a.m. in Judge McNally's courtroom.
Steve Easy, I couldn't even imagine. I wouldn't even be able to imagine something like that. That is, that's got to be one of the worst things to go through, bro.
This time, I'm going to turn things over to ATF Special Agent in Charge, Chris Ammon. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. My name is Chris Ammon. I'm the Special Agent in Charge with the ATF Chicago.
I was just about to say, this is the guy that's part of the ATF, right?
Field Division. As the U.S. Attorney mentioned,
we just heard him speak earlier.
On Monday night, a horrific act of violence occurred aboard a CTA train at Clark and Lake. A 26-year-old woman was deliberately set on fire by Lawrence Reed in an unprovoked attack.
So the guy's name was Lawrence Reed, who did this crazy fucking attack.
The victim in this case is in critical condition, and our prayers are with her, her family, and everyone who is affected by this unimaginable tragedy. As the charges make clear today, violence of any kind on the CTA rail system or in our city is unacceptable and will continue to be met with the full force of the ATF.
I just want to know how many times has this fucking asshole been locked up and then by these stupid judges that allow these guys to come out after doing such a violent act that you should be locked, you know. All the other acts I'm sure that he did was a lead up to this and exactly what Papa Penguin was going. I can't believe they didn't see it coming. Yeah, it's crazy because they absolutely did. They absolutely did. And you know that. I know that. We all know that.
Law enforcement partners and the United States Attorney's Office. I want to thank U.S. Attorney Andrew Boutros for his leadership and commitment to seeking justice in this case. I'd also like to extend my sincere appreciation to the Chicago Police Department and their investigative response team.
What's up, Kerry?
Their bomb and arson unit. ATF has a strong and proud partnership with the Chicago Police Department. CPD officers responded quickly to secure the scene, tend to the victim, process evidence, and then approximately 12 hours later detain Reed so that federal charges could be brought in this case. The evidence in this case will be processed and examined at the ATF National Laboratory in Maryland. Finally, let me say this. Lawrence Reed had no business being on the streets given his violent criminal history and his pending criminal cases.
Here we go.
Reed had plenty of second chances by the criminal justice system.
Okay, we heard him say exactly that little quote earlier. So I want to know how many prior, though. Like you say, multiple second chances. I want to know how many of those second chances. Did this guy go in 7 different times and get let go 7 different times? What happened?
Result, you have an innocent victim in the hospital fighting for her life. Because of the swift action of CPD, ATF, and our law enforcement partners, there will be no other chances for Mr. Reed. Thank you.
We can take a couple questions.
Well, yeah, there absolutely will not be any other chances after this. I mean, this is now this guy has used up his fucking criminal time, and now he will do the rest of his crime in prison. That's what's going to happen here. Anyways, let's go and move on. We're going to move on. We've got the White House response to Quiet Piggy comment. Now, this sounds like something that Trump would have said. I'm not very sure of the case, though, but Caroline Leavitt is taking on questions, and this is only a minute long, so I am very interested in this rebuttal and what was said here.
Thank you, Caroline. What did the president mean when he...
So it was Trump that said it. She goes, so what does it mean when the president said, quiet piggy?
Called reporter piggy. Look, the president...
That shit is great. You called a reporter a piggy? That is awesome, bro.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Trump is such a fucking G when it comes to dealing with the press. I mean, that's one thing you can't take away from him. He knows how to handle these reporters. And then you get these idiot fucks there in the White House. You know, meanwhile, there's wars and chaos. Our economy is shit. We've got all this shit. And meanwhile, this libtard is fucking focused on what do you think? What do you think Trump meant when he said quiet piggy? Like, dude, You guys are so gay.
Why are you gay?
Is very frank and honest with everyone in this room. You've all seen it yourself. You've all experienced it yourselves, and I think it's one of the many reasons.
What's up, TVT, my man? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself. And we got Road Rage up in the building as well. I'm surprised the FBI hasn't come out yet and said he was on our radar, since they seem to be watching everyone that commits an attack, but never actually stops any of them. No kidding, bro.
That the American people reelected this president because of his frankness, and he calls out fake news when he sees it. He gets frustrated with reporters when you lie about him, when you spread fake news about him and his administration. But he also is the most transparent president in history, and he gives all of you in this room, as you all know,
you know what's funny, Prez, is she just turned 28. She just turned 28. She's 2 years younger than me.
Unprecedented access. You are in the Oval Office almost every day asking the president questions. And so I think the president being frank and open and honest to your faces rather than hiding behind your backs is frankly a lot more respectful than what you saw in the last administration, where you had a president who lied to your face and then didn't speak to you for weeks and hid upstairs and didn't take your questions. So
she's right
I think
about
everyone
that.
in this room should appreciate the frankness and the openness that you get from President Trump on a near daily basis. Go ahead.
As a follow-up,
yes.
The Washington Post just reported.
Real quick, before this libtard gets back into it, we got Joseph up in the building. Always appreciate my man saying, stop the cap. Yes, sir.
Stop the cap.
As always, great to see you in the chat.
That the Coast Guard has.
I'm calling on Bloomberg. Go ahead.
And that was it. All right. So I told you the guys that was really going to be quick. It was like a minute. Anyways, as you guys know, Mamdani is going to be having this meeting with Trump today at 3 p.m. Eastern. And so yesterday, of course, Mamdani does what Mamdani does, as any other politician actually would do. They go out into their community the day before and they talk about, hey, I'm going to be having a sit down with Trump. I'm going to be talking to him about this, whatever. You know what I mean? So Mamdani did hold a some sort of questions or whatever. His remarks are here. So let's go ahead and see what happens. This is ahead of the White House meeting with Trump today.
Let's lift up the audio.
Everyone set? Good? All right.
Let's go.
I will be heading to Washington, D.C. tomorrow to meet with President Trump in the White House.
Which is today.
It is customary for an incoming mayor of this city to meet with the White House, given the mutual reliance. It's more critical than ever, given the national crisis of affordability, one that New Yorkers know very well across these 5 boroughs, and the specific challenge many cities are facing with balancing public safety against steps taken by this administration. I know that for tens of thousands of New Yorkers, this meeting is between two very...
Shit. What's up, Fester, my man? We got family life in the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning as well.
Very different candidates who they voted for the same reason. They wanted a leader who would take on the cost of living crisis that makes it impossible for working people to afford living in this city.
What's up, Charles?
My team reached out to the White House to set up this meeting because I will work with anyone to make life more affordable for the more than 8.5 million people who...
So that guy that we just saw, Papa Penguin brings up the stats. The dude on the subway has 71 arrests and 13 convictions, including setting a building on fire while people were inside of it. Didn't see it coming, huh? Didn't see it coming? 71 arrests, bro. 71 arrests? Holy fuck, bro. Oh my God. Our system is so bullshit.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
That shit pisses me off.
Denied. Call the city home. I have many disagreements with the president, and I believe that we should be relentless and pursue all avenues and all meetings that could make our city affordable for every single New Yorker. I intend to make it clear to President Trump that I will work with him on any agenda that benefits New Yorkers. If an agenda hurts New Yorkers, I will also be the first to say so. Thank you.
This guy's such cap. Such a capper. Now he said what he needed to say, and now he's going to take on questions, I'm assuming. Anyways, let's go ahead and get the money part over.
Just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
You know what I mean? Someone's asking the question, can't hear the person. Still can't hear.
This is an opportunity to make the case for New Yorkers. And it's a case that reflects what New Yorkers are having to live through at this time.
Stop
when we
the
speak about
cap.
the affordability crisis, we're speaking about 1 in 4 New Yorkers living in poverty, 1 in 5 struggling to afford $2.90 to ride the bus. New Yorkers for whom the daily acts of life are becoming increasingly harder to afford. And that's an opportunity I have to make the case to President Trump, to the White House, as to what it means to have to suffer through this affordability crisis and what it means to make it even more difficult to do so.
I'm wondering, he called you a communist in the announcement, which seemed a little belittling. I'm wondering, are you concerned that
This is something in regards to the communist comment.
actually bear any sort of fruit, or whether it will be another opportunity for him to try to publicly embarrass you? And could you go into any specifics about what you specifically want to ask him, or any specific questions you have?
Specific things you want to ask him, and he brought up shit about communism.
I'm not concerned about this meeting. I view this meeting as an opportunity for me to make my case. And I'll make that case to anyone, frankly, as we've been doing over the course of the campaign. And now, as I will be the next mayor of the city, it behooves me to ensure that I leave no stone unturned in looking to make the city more affordable. And this is a meeting where I look forward to speaking about the affordability agenda, public safety, and economic security for each and every person that calls the city home.
That's very true, Steve Easy. Yes, you guys can absolutely send me your EBT stamps and shit like that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, YouTube. That was a joke, obviously. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean? That would be kind of cool to be able to get some free food. Just saying. Just saying, you know? Maybe I could buy it at a discount. Jokes, everybody. Jokes. What's up, Tiffany? Good morning. We can't hear this person making the question, by the way.
I see the implication being that every commissioner should be a fierce advocate for those that work for their department or their agency. And I look forward to...
What's up, Dark Soul? Good morning.
...to ensuring that that is the case across the entirety of my administration, where when I have a meeting with a commissioner, I know that they are bringing forth the concerns of those that they work with, those that they represent, so that we can ensure that we're actually addressing those concerns.
Okay, so this sounds great. Sounds like they're just going to ask him more about the same questions, about the same shit that he's already reiterated. All right, sounds good. We're moving on. We got a lot of stories to go through, and we're already past the halfway mark. This is not good. Judge rules Trump administration's National Guard deployment in D.C. illegal. Let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll go ahead and discuss it a little bit here.
With us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do have some breaking news that we want to get to at this moment, and it comes to us from our nation's capital. When I put up this live vantage point that we have there of the White House, this is big news as a U.S. federal judge ruled today that the Pentagon's deployment of the National Guard in Washington, D.C. is illegal. It was Judge Gia Cobb who ruled today that the National Guard's deployment was illegal, but stayed the effect of her
What's
order
up, Smokey and Oz? Great to see you in the chat.
Until December 11th. This will give the Trump administration time to ultimately appeal this, during which the National Guard will remain in D.C. And so what we do know is that we've heard from a few others. We have D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab releasing this following statement, saying, quote, "From the beginning, we made it clear that the U.S. military should not be policing American citizens on American soil. Normalizing the use of military troops for domestic law enforcement sets a dangerous precedent where the president can disregard states' independence and deploy troops wherever and whenever he wants with no check on his military power." And I want to put this up. This is that tweet that we have from the Associated Press.
What's up, Penguin Posse? It's been a minute. Great to see you in the chat, man. We have some crazy news that's popping up here. The Associated Press comes out with a federal judge ordered the Trump administration to end its months-long deployment of National Guard troops to help police the nation's capital over there in D.C.
Making this announcement just a few minutes ago.
I want to know the name of the federal judge and what state that person comes from.
We do know that statement continues on to say, D.C. Attorney General, saying this unprecedented federal overreach is not normal.
And maybe this federal judge is in D.C., and that's why I'm interested in where this federal judge is. But
it is long past time to let the National Guard go home to their everyday lives, their regular jobs, their families, and their children, end quote. And so just for a bit of backstory here, our partners at Fox 5, of course, they're in D.C., have been following this very closely. It was just last month that the Office of the Attorney General in D.C. opened that lawsuit against the federal government, saying that the deployment of the National Guard on the streets of D.C. was unlawful and that it was causing irreparable harm to the city.
Causing irreparable harm? Where? I don't understand that.
Guard deployment was expected to last potentially until next summer in 2026, when the nation celebrates its 250th anniversary. But the current deployment is supposed to end at the end of November, but military officials had told the out-of-state troops to prepare for the winter. The National Guard, though, was first deployed to D.C. back in August after President Trump declared a crime emergency in our nation's capital. The Guardsmen and women have been deputized as Special Deputy U.S. Marshals. The D.C. OAG says that federal law does prohibit the military from being involved in civilian law enforcement and calls the National Guard presence a threat in D.C. to public safety. And so putting that up on your screen, as the judge has now ordered President Trump to end this National Guard deployment in D.C. I want to also show you this other vantage point that we have there of the city. But that's the biggest news breaking, that a U.S. federal...
We got Hardwire coming in, by the way, with the $5. Appreciate my man coming in. Saying 11/27 Thanksgiving Day, 7 p.m. Eastern. Doc Harley, Carney, and some asshole named Hardwire, Mr. Ball, possibly BD2. Yes, sir. It will be a little hard for me because you're doing it Thanksgiving, that like day, evening. So I may be a little late on that because I think that we're going to be doing all of that during the evening time. So I will absolutely do my damnness to be there. But Hardwire, I very much appreciate that. Sending in $5, making it rain. Very much appreciate that. Wolf, I'm coming in over there with the Swedish crowns, sending over 27 Swedish crowns, saying jazz tobacco. Yes, sir. We definitely got a lot of that jazz tobacco going, and we're always ready to go. You know what I mean? Shit.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
All right, feels ultra good to be a G. All right, now let's get back to this. Thank you, Wolfheim. Appreciate that. And Hardwire.
Federal judge officially ruling that the Pentagon's deployment of the National Guard is illegal. And ultimately, what we will know is that as we continue to watch this and check in with our partners there at Fox 5 in D.C., that this order will be stayed until December 11th. This is going to give the President Trump administration time to see if they can repeal this and fight back in court. So we'll continue to watch to see how all of this unfolds.
Yeah, well, we're going to be following that story for damn sure, because you know that there's going to be an appeal. You know there's going to be all sorts of shit. We'll see what ends up happening with this. Anyways, we're going to go into an update here regards to trains, buses, see resurgence after shutdown chaos at airports. And I'm sure that we all saw this coming. It's nothing that is a huge shocker here. We'll get a little bit of the story, but we're going to move on from it very quickly because we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fucking stories to go. Oops, I'm not. Is it sharing? What the fuck is going on here? It's sharing this one. Okay, perfect. I was wondering what the fuck is going on here. All right, here we go. Sorry about that, guys.
And welcome back to Live Now from Fox, everyone. We appreciate you continuing to join us throughout this day and evening, continuing to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines on Live Now from Fox. And what we want to do now is talk about travel. And of course, we know that Thanksgiving is coming up right around the corner. And we want to talk about the big transportation that is making a lot of waves right now. And that has to do with train travel. Amtrak is reporting an increase in riders on its trains, and this comes after thousands of flight delays and cancellations during the government shutdown. So we want to.
So yeah, there was, just to give you guys an exact number, there were 20,000 flights that were either canceled or delayed during the government shutdown. That's how many were affected. So 20,000 flights. Insane amount of flights.
That all down right now with Fox News' Kaylee Schuyler joining us from Boston right now at the South Station. Kaylee.
From Greece, that's hilarious, Charles.
Hey, Mike. Well, it's been pretty busy all day. There's been a steady stream in and out really for the whole afternoon. And when we're talking about holiday travel, while more people will still travel by car or by taking a plane, AAA is predicting that around 2.5 million people will take a train, a bus, or even a boat this holiday season. That's up 9% from last year. And writers here say they certainly have seen an influx of people.
People are getting back to traveling.
It's gotten really busy. And sometimes...
And you got to remember, motherfuckers are broke, so people are taking the train. You know what I mean? That's a sad reality. We're in a bad, rough economy. People are living paycheck to paycheck, and I think the majority of Americans can't even miss a single paycheck. So at this point, yeah, right now it's the holidays. You know, holidays coming up. And as you guys see here, it says record numbers of Americans choosing to travel by train. And so I will give you guys that answer, and it's exactly what I just said in the aspect I think that everyone's just fucking broke. And so, yeah, of course, people are going to be traveling by train more and more, you know what I mean? But I don't even need to, like, go ahead and present that whole fucking thing for me to be able to tell you that. We're going to move on, though. Stock market reversal. NVIDIA shares fall after post-earnings rally. Very interesting story development. Let's go ahead and bring this up. We'll talk about it very quickly and move on. Let's go ahead and do this.
Now from Fox, I'm your host, Mike Page. Thanks so much again for joining us on Live Now, bringing you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We want to talk the markets right now, and what a ride it was today. I mean, yesterday, the massive blowout earnings for NVIDIA. You think, okay, everything's going to be running high today. And then, well, it was for a good portion of the day. And then the pullback, the sell-off, it happened, and it happened fierce here. Take a look at the market right there, how it ended up for the day on the Dow, 386 points in the red. And we saw NVIDIA as high as 196 a share, and that all dipped down. We want to get to the very latest from Fox Business. Let's bring in a great friend here of the program.
God damn. You said $265 to get on a fucking train? What? It's that expensive? Holy fuck, that is not cheap. I mean, for maybe $100 more, or maybe a couple of $100 more, you can get a plane ticket, you know? Maybe even not even that. $300, $400, $500 in the price range for a ticket of airplane. I mean, just like, holy shit, dude. I thought maybe for sure something like a travel like that would be like maybe $65 plus what you got to pay for food or whatever. Damn, that's a lot of money.
Liz Clayman, anchor of the Clayman Countdown, just wrapped up your show. Great to have you on, Liz.
What's up, Bob?
Yeah,
Good morning.
This was a wild day.
That's all right,
My
Frank.
neck hurts, Mike, actually, from the whiplash. It's unbelievable. And what's truly unbelievable, I'm sure you would agree with me, is that NVIDIA crushed third quarter earnings. Their revenue number came in at $57 billion. That beat estimates by $2 billion. Most companies would dream to have even just $1 billion in revenue. They got $57 billion, and that was a $2 billion beat.
Right. I mean, that's a lot of money. A lot of moolah.
On top of that, their data center business is this, of course, for those of you who don't know, NVIDIA makes the brains, the chips, these semiconductors.
Well, NVIDIA not only does all of that, you know, graphics cards, GPUs, DPUs, they do all sorts of shit. But something that is very interesting about NVIDIA in the AI world, they're the only AI company that actually develops, makes AI, and then finishes it from basically start to end. They don't outsource it to any other company. They do it all in-house, which I do think is interesting as a company, as a business.
That run all of the data centers and help those chatbots answer all of the questions and queries that you're putting in. Their data center business was like 90% of the revenues. So it's a gangbusters business. I had a whole bunch of opportunity to speak with him after the earnings. The CEO, Jensen Huang, right now is the man to speak with. He had monstrous numbers. And so we know what the numbers were for the third quarter. I asked him, how does the fourth quarter, the current quarter, look right now? And here's what he said.
We guided to a much larger quarter next quarter, and so the guidance that we provided is crazy good. I would agree with that. And but you know, we're in the beginning of a very long-term build out of the fundamental infrastructure of humanity, which is computing. As you know, we reinvented computing for the first time in 60, 70 years. And so all of the computers that have been installed around the world is being modernized to accelerated computing, NVIDIA's GPUs, and to artificial intelligence.
Well, absolutely. Everything is, especially in the tech world, I mean, shit. You could build a PC right now, and your PC that you just built for, let's just say, $3,500. Let's just call it $3,500, right? Build this amazing PC, and then 6 months later, your shit is fucking, like, already outdated. That shit is, like, there's, like, been 3 different models that have come out since then for different GPUs or whatever the case is. You know how it goes. That's how this shit, that's technology, man. So it's a radical, extremely volatile business, meaning technology, because of the amount of advancement that you can have within shit like this.
Mike, they cannot fill orders fast enough. You know, there was a question, are you sold out of their Blackwell chips, these most advanced chips at the moment? He said, no. He told me, he said, no, we can sell a lot of Blackwell chips. We're making them. Taiwan Semiconductor actually physically manufactures what NVIDIA designs. They're in Taiwan.
Yeah, I'm with you, Steve. I actually don't even check my portfolio daily. It may be weekly, but just to look at it, just to see what's happening. But because curiosity kills the cat, but not actually ever because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm getting a notification my stock is going down. I'm like, I don't give a shit. You know, I actually took like an 8%, almost a 10% loss on my shit originally. And then I was like, I don't give a shit, you know, and then it came right back, of course. But most people can't even stomach a 10% drop without like feeling like they just lost it all, you know, type thing. And then they panic sell or whatever the case is. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm only selling if I got, you know, the company I don't agree with. Let's say a new CEO comes in and he's going to take the business down a way that I don't agree with, then that's my time to sell. Also, if the numbers are not making sense, obviously that's number one. The company's got to be worth more tomorrow than it is going to be today, right? So that's our bet, essentially. But anyways, enough of that ramble.
They're churning these things out, but it's the new chip that's coming. It's called the Rubin, and it's the next generation, probably faster, probably better. He told me that one is going to ship in the third quarter. I asked him exactly when, and will they run into the same bottlenecks that they ran into a year ago? Remember the whole supply chain insanity back during the pandemic? Well, NVIDIA actually had a supply chain problem when they first launched the Blackwell because so many people wanted hundreds of thousands of them. So I asked him, have you fixed any of the problems that you endured a year ago? Here's what he said. What specifically have you...
That's right, Pablo. I that's why I'm a big advocate for gold and silver. You know, a lot of people still in this world are like, that's a total, I mean, commodity, we know, but whatever. They're like, oh yeah, what are you, a tinfoil hat motherfucker? Well, I guess I am, you know what I mean? I absolutely agree with that. I just bought myself over 100 ounces of silver on actually the spike. On the spike, I did pay a decent amount, but I'm obviously here in the next 10 years, it's going to be worth way more than what it is now. We've been watching the trends closely here. I even made a graph about gold and silver, you know, the buying power of gold and silver. And let me go ahead and bring this up actually real quick. This is specific with gold and the buying power it has compared to the US dollar. I reset them both to 0 for the beginning of 2025. And as you guys can see, the blue line is going down from center. That's because that's our value of our US dollar that is losing value every day. And meanwhile, this is what gold did within 2025. So if that gives you guys any kind of idea of why I would do something of the hedge your bets with gold and silver, you know what I mean? Anyways, back to this.
Change to prevent any bottlenecks when Rubin rolls off the Taiwan semi-assembly line.
Well, you know, we're not going to be caught flat-footed too many times. And we now have a much better understanding of the scale and the breadth, the diversity of our customer base. We've done a really good job planning our supply chain. We now have the largest supply chain of any company in the world.
I don't do jokes, Steve Posey. I'm too real for that shit. No, I'm just kidding. You know.
Oh shit! Like the question is, this is all great news. Why did the markets jump so exponentially and then fall? And it wasn't just the markets in the aggregate. If you look at any of the AI sort of darling stocks out there, Palantir, Micron, Advanced Micro Devices, the rival to NVIDIA, they all were up really high and then they turned around and went down. So I was really pondering this question. I did some research. I talked to some analysts and
that's a pretty crazy thing that you said there, by the way, Steve. Just got to pause that and address that. Because she's a state employee, her 401k won't let her choose how to invest it. That is embarrassing. Like what? They don't trust you to know what's best for you? You know what I mean? Of course, that's not what it comes down to. It's because they want to be able to fund what they want to be able to fund, right? And that shit fucking crazy. It's outrageous.
This becomes not so much NVIDIA.
Anyways, you know what? I'm over this NVIDIA shit. We're going to go ahead and move on. Epstein files, when will they be released? That is the question, right? We all have that question. So let's go ahead and bring this up.
Live now, I'm Austin Westfall. Live look at the U.S. Capitol on this Thursday evening. Let's get the latest on what to expect as we anticipate the DOJ to release their Epstein case files sometime within the next 30 days. Fox's Doug Luzader with this report.
The Attorney General says she will follow the law, but not everything here is black and white.
And America is actually stronger than it's ever been before.
President Trump yesterday at an investment forum talking about what he really wants to focus on now, the economy. And last night, away from the cameras, he signed the bill that he saw as a clear distraction. The order from Congress for the Justice Department to release nearly all it has on the late disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Which is interesting because Trump does do almost everything on camera. He does shit live, you know, anytime an executive order is passed, anytime something he signs is, I mean, all of it is usually televised and mediaized. But it's interesting that he decided not to do that for this specific thing. And he, as the excuse is he didn't want to bring unnecessary light to it. Because it's a hoax in his eyes, right? So
Congress passed it easily with bipartisan support, but the president suggested Democrats will regret it. Posting on Truth Social last night, this latest hoax will backfire on the Democrats just as all of the rest have. And Epstein, accused of sex trafficking and abusing minors before his death, had ties with both Democrats and Republicans, including the president.
We will continue to follow the law, again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Attorney General Pam Bondi only saying she will follow the law, but she may redact or refuse to turn over some documents, citing ongoing investigations.
We are not done. No way.
Democrats promised to keep pressing.
That is so funny. There was only a couple of guys there that were extremely tall. I'm talking like actually like 6'10", 6'11" type size. There was a couple of those guys. But yeah, honestly, I expected a lot of the guys to be a lot taller than they are. And you know what's funny is the one guy that I thought was shorter than he actually is in real life, I thought he was short, is Jim Bob. And that motherfucker is tall as fuck. I was like, holy shit. I thought that guy was my size, you know? Anyways, back to this.
For the release. Republicans say Democrats sat on those files for years.
What's up, Papa Penguin? Good morning.
Justice had the files the entire time. And not a single one of the people who are so loud and animated right now, they never said anything about it for all those 4 years.
The Biden administration could have released them, just as the Trump administration could have, without this intervention.
That's so funny. I already knew how tall Grid was, so that wasn't a surprise to me.
From Congress. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Okay, so let's bring in Claudia Grisales. She's a congressional correspondent with NPR. Thanks for coming on again. The last time you and I had...
So the official note here is the main question that is for this video right here that we're presenting is when are the Epstein files going to be released? So the answer to this question, I don't care really what this congressional reporter has to say. The DOJ has 30 days to turn Epstein docs over to Congress. That is the timeline. That's what I cared about. So we've got 30 days since the signing of Trump yesterday, right? So that it was yesterday it was yesterday. Man, my day's fucking colliding. Anyways, nonetheless, we're going to move on. We have been following another story for the last week is the cruise ship death. The one regards to the Carnival cruise line where the young girl was unfortunately found dead in her room underneath her bed. Now, there's a new suspect in town, and her brother is now become a suspect. So let's go ahead and figure this out. This will be very interesting what's happening here. This may be an internal ordeal.
The Florida teenager who lost her life on the Carnival cruise earlier this month. Investigation still ongoing. The celebration of life happened today for that teenager. And you can see there from a post on the New York Post on X saying a grieving father said his family had their world turned upside down after a maid on a Carnival Horizon cruise made a horrifying discovery. The lifeless body of an 18-year-old Anna Kepner stuffed under a bed and wrapped in a blanket. Right now, the FBI is investigating the stepbrother here in this case. We want to continue to talk about it and bring in a friend here live now from Fox, Ken Belkin, legal analyst and attorney. Thanks so much for joining us here, Ken. And this story right as it plays out.
Yeah, Flames. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, her stepbrother, not her actual biological brother, but her stepbrother
I mean, has all the makings of a documentary that you'd see on Netflix or anything. But when we're talking about this investigation here, I mean, let's just first talk about this is in international waters at the time. Just talk a little bit about some of really the legal ways here in this investigation.
So, most murders, they are prosecuted on the state level. They're state crimes. This case, because it happened at sea, it falls under maritime jurisdiction, which is federal jurisdiction. So the FBI is investigating it, and presumably the Department of Justice would be the prosecuting authority. It's very serious. They have yet to determine the cause of death, and I think that's really going to come down to whether or not charges are filed, is what was the cause of this young woman's death.
And Ken, let's talk about this is an investigation that is happening.
What are you doing, step bro? Shit. You know what I mean?
After the fact, meaning that when this investigation started, really, I mean, we're talking about the ship back at port here. Talk about maybe some of the difficulties doing an investigation, trying to contact people and talk with them when everything is so scattered right now.
Well, I would think, immediately you want to figure out who she was in contact.
What's up, Bree? Hopefully you're enjoying your Fuck It Friday. I definitely know that we are. Good morning to you.
With in the immediate moments before she was deceased, so they would want to get some DNA samples. Being that it's a Carnival cruise ship, I'm not sure how well they've kept the area sequestered or roped off from the general public.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you got like thousands of motherfuckers on that ship.
Or other members of maybe the Carnival staff. So it's unclear as to whether the authorities were working with a clean crime scene. But, it's very disturbing the way her body was found under a bed covered with life vests and blankets. So seemingly someone...
Wow. I didn't know that part. Covered with life vests and what?
The way her body was found under a bed covered with life vests and blankets.
And blankets, yeah, covering her.
Seemingly, someone was involved in covering up her death.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt about that. AP reporting this evening.
That's the first time I heard any details about her under the bed.
That the FBI is zeroing in on the stepbrother. Talk about when we're talking about a blended family investigation, how does this work when we have family members that are one grieving, but now one may turn into a prime suspect?
Well, look, the FBI is doing what I would assume to be a very thorough investigation. I am sure they are meeting with everyone. I'm sure they've tracked surveillance footage on that cruise ship. They probably have comprised a pretty detailed timeline of her goings and comings in the immediate hours before her death. The surveillance is ubiquitous. There are cameras everywhere, especially on a Carnival cruise ship. Not that I take many Carnival cruises, but I know from a liability standpoint, they want to see what's going on with their guests. They want to see what's going on with their staff. So they probably know down to the minute what she was doing, where she was, and who she was with.
Right.
So that could be the reason that they are...
What about the fucking cameras that are on these cruise ships? I mean, they're all over the fucking place. So they're going to be pulling the video of the stepbrother going in and out of the room and stuff like that, or anybody going in and out of that room.
Presumably, as we're being told, zeroing in on the stepbrother. He is a minor,
wow.
So that does complicate things with prosecuting.
Oh, shit. The fucking stepbrother is still a minor. So they were both minors. Terrible.
But
all of it's terrible.
First, they have to announce the cause, and we need to see. They have to have problems.
Yes, thank you for pointing out the obvious. This man on the right, Ken Belkin, the attorney. Yes, he is, in fact... I know it's crazy, but he is bald.
Emotional damage.
Just needed to say it because, Bree brought it up. So
will cause to charge him. So at a bare minimum, there has to be some evidence to charge him.
It's so interesting here in this case, so many different variables as well, but it seems like maybe the common denominator in so many cases, not just this one, is that usually people have, their cell phone on them pretty much at all times. That could be maybe a big part of this investigation to kind of track the comings and goings of someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Cell data, it pings you off the towers. They can pinpoint your location, so they can figure out through those means as well
So were they, when this happened, who's to say that you're able to triangulate anything? You're out at sea, you know what I mean? I'm assuming that you guys were sailing at some point during this cruise ship adventure here that you guys are on. So how are you going to triangulate location when there is no signal when you're out there? I don't know about that.
Who it might have been with her.
Maybe they were at the dock for a couple of nights or some bullshit. I don't know the situation through and through. I'm just asking questions.
It's a little tricky when you're dealing with a cruise ship with a lot of people. But if they have that coupled with surveillance, maybe coupled with eyewitnesses that they were interviewing, she might have been seen in the hours or minutes before her death by other people on the ship. It's a Carnival cruise. Presumably, there's a lot of people just milling about.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, there is no cell towers to pick you up when you're out in the middle of the ocean. I don't know what this guy's getting at.
Yeah, like you said there, the most troubling, though, is the way that this body was located and the stuff around the body as well, with just the life jackets poured on top there. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all comes together in this investigation. But Ken, lastly, how does when family members might be chirping in and out about a case, and how does that play a role in the investigation? Does it help it? Does it hurt it?
They're going to be wanting to take statements from everyone.
Oh, maybe, but he did use the nomenclature cell towers. He didn't use the nomenclature satellites. Satellites, yes, that is true, absolutely. But he used that guy actually said cell towers. So he must have meant satellites. That makes more sense.
Everyone. So I think anything they can get their hands on to work with that might turn up leads, that might lead to facts or other evidence, I think they're going to deem useful. So it is useful that people are talking. It's tough when people clam up and don't talk. But again, we shouldn't jump to conclusions that this was a murder. We don't know the cause of death.
That's actually pretty standard. The Carnival Cruise Line, at least the ones that was down by me over in Long Beach, they would go to Mexico. They'd go down there all the time. And yeah, sometimes, I mean, you can do short cruises and stuff like that. I think like 4 or 5 days, little turnaround, whatever. But yeah, 2 weeks is not crazy. And the question from Frank was, bro, Mike, have you ever been on a sea cruise? No, I actually have not. I've been on the ships before because I used to fuel these guys. This is what I did before I lost my leg, is I used to bring basically a tug and barge next to the ship, whether they were out at anchor or if they were alongside the dock unloading their goods. I would come alongside and I'd fuel them simultaneously, right? So I used to go on to the, you'd have to go on to their ships to go ahead and have a sit-down meeting before you have the, basically it's a declaration of inspection, a DOI actually. And you both have a meeting that everything is tip-top. You've double-checked this, you've double-checked this, and it's a checklist you go through. Anyways, so me being what I did for a career, I was always out in the ocean. I never wanted to get on a fucking cruise line. My entire work history was on the fucking water. So I liked actually being on the land when my time was off. You know what I mean? So anyways, back to this.
Just because the body was covered in such a fashion doesn't preclude the possibility of an accidental death. A lot of people have speculated it could be an overdose. Maybe there was an overdose and someone got afraid and didn't know what to do. You never know what it is. But we are going to learn, I would think, in the next couple of days. And there are a lot of whispers about the stepbrother being charged.
Yeah, so true. Ken, great to have.
As you guys know, as things develop from that story, we're going to bring you guys the information of what's happening with that. But, all right, we're going to move on, though. U.S. added, that's a bullshit story, I can already tell, so we're going to go ahead and skip it because we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 to go, five fucking damn stories, and we're already past. We're an hour and 7 minutes. We're 7 minutes over right now, so let's go ahead and see what Trump is saying here, and we'll go ahead and discuss it a little bit. Trump calls Democrats' message to military seditious behavior.
We want to continue to talk about Capitol Hill, specifically some of the ripples that have been caused by a video that was put out by a number of Democratic lawmakers earlier this week. It was a video posted by, and representing 6 members of Congress on the Democrat side. This video is drawing some major pushback from President Trump. The video itself, I believe this is the post that we're looking at right now that has the video attached to it. We'll play the video in a moment. Basically, it shows...
Hey, I appreciate that, Flames. Hey, man, this is what we do, man. So I very much appreciate you with the kind comment there.
6 Democratic lawmakers who served in either the military or the intelligence community. These members of Congress, basically in this video, are reminding their still serving counterparts that they are obligated to refuse illegal orders. Let's watch this video. We'll discuss on the backside.
Okay, I haven't seen this video. I'm surprised I haven't seen this video. So not all, a lot of the Democratic people in Congress, I guess, are putting this video out. So
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer. Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
And the intelligence community.
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now. Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals.
against American citizens. Like us. You all swore an oath.
To protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can...
So imagine everyone that's sitting there fucking actually reading this script together, and then they just compile the same exact script that they hand out to all of these guys, and they just read it out loud to a camera, and then they chop it up, and this is how they do it.
Refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law or our Constitution.
We know this is
I don't know,
hard.
Gary.
It's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
The Army or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you. We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
So that was posted earlier this week. President Trump responding to it on...
That shit was gay. Sorry.
Why are you gay?
Just was. That shit was lame as fuck.
On social media with this. He says this is really bad and
No one's impressed with it, though.
dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. President DJT. I believe we have one more here as well. It's called seditious behavior at the highest level. Each one of these traitors to our country should be arrested and put on trial. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. We won't have a country.
The way that they're advocating is just insane. Whether it be fighting to do illegal shit or to give money to illegal people. It's just, at this point, I just look at them as the anti-American. I mean, kind of like a Islamic extremist. I put the left at the exact same category.
Anymore. An example must be set. I believe President Trump also sent out another post saying this is punishable by death. And one other post. Standing by is Mike Brest. He's a defense reporter for the Washington Examiner. Thanks for coming on, Mike. Do we know what exactly the Democrats, what type of situation Democrats are alluding to in that video?
So that's what's fascinating about the video that you just showed is that they were very vague in what they were talking about. They kept mentioning illegal orders, but they didn't specify what those illegal orders could be about, or if the president has, in their opinion, already given illegal orders. And so without the added context, it's left up for the viewer's interpretation of what they meant. And the president obviously feels very strongly in his interpretation.
So what is Trump saying is punishable by death? That punishable by death quote made a lot of headlines. Is he talking about military members who refuse orders? Is he pointing that at Democratic lawmakers who may be encouraging the behavior? Is it clear?
So I can only give a good educated guess. And so my belief is that the president is referring to the Democratic lawmakers.
Sorry, he's still our president, fucktard.
Who produced the video. And so the argument that I've seen several conservatives make is that the notion that they were referring to was actually, they were trying to subtly tell them to disregard or not follow legal orders from the president. However, all of the lawmakers in that video were very clear in specifying, don't listen to illegal orders. And so encouraging service members to not follow legal orders could be very problematic, which is where the president's...
When did I say fucking king, fuckface? Bunch of fucking retards over there on the vertical side. I swear to God, you guys are a bunch of fucking goofballs.
Opinion came into play there. But at the same time, the lawmakers were very clear in their language that in a reminder that service members by law can be held legally responsible if they follow an illegal order.
We do have the post. He said seditious behavior, punishable by death. Caroline Leavitt was asked about this earlier today at the White House press briefing. Let's listen shortly.
Thanks, Caroline. This morning, President Trump accused 6 Democratic lawmakers of seditious behavior punishable by death. Just to be clear, does the president want to execute members of Congress?
No. Let's be clear about what the president is responding to, because many in this room want to talk about the president's response, but not what brought the president to responding in this way. You have sitting members of the United States Congress who conspired together to orchestrate a video message to members of the United States military, to active duty service members, to members of the national security apparatus, encouraging them to defy the president's lawful orders. The sanctity of our military rests on the chain of command. And if that chain of command is broken, it can lead to people getting killed. It can lead.
Yo, real quick, my man Provo, the man, the myth, the legend, coming in with the $4.99. My man, thank you so much for that. Making it rain in the building. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Let's get back to it.
Chaos. And that's what these members of Congress who swore an oath to abide by the Constitution are essentially encouraging. We have 1.3 active duty service members in this country. And if they hear this radical message from sitting members of Congress, that could inspire chaos and it could incite violence and it certainly could disrupt the chain of command.
Shit.
So ultimately,
all right. So I think we obviously know what's happening here. We're going to move on because we still got 4 stories to go through. New Trump peace proposal includes Ukrainian concessions to Russia. That's very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and bring that up in this new development here.
Okay, you're watching live now. I'm Austin Wattsfall, a live look at the White House, 9:21 in the nation's capital. Let's talk about the White House's plan to end the war in Ukraine. Axios having a scoop this week saying that the White House has a new plan that involves the Ukrainians making significant territorial concessions to Russia. The plan would basically grant Russia parts of eastern Ukraine that it does not currently control. That would come in exchange for a U.S. security guarantee for Ukraine and Europe against future Russian aggression. All of this coming from a U.S. official with direct knowledge. Again, Axios was the outlet with the scoop. Here they have it. Also mentioning Trump's full 28-point Ukraine-Russia peace plan, which would force Kiev to give up additional territory in the east, cap the size of its military, and
Kiev
agreed to never join NATO. So this is a 28-point plan. I want to go over this plan with retired Marine Intelligence Officer, national security analyst, and host of the Strap podcast, Hal Kemper. He's here.
Yeah, so it's very interesting with the whole @ symbol for your handles, and then sometimes you'll be in a chat and it just shows your name. I think that everyone wants it to go back to what their name is, not the handle, which I agree with, by the way. Even though mine is sexy, it says Insane Wheels. It's cool, but everyone knows me by Mike Ball, you know what I mean? So I'd rather my name be Mike Ball in chat. So nonetheless, so it's a random lottery kind of system. Sometimes it's doing that for certain streamers, and then sometimes it's not. Half the time, I would say more than half the time, I actually get it where I don't get the @ symbol. It's where it's your guys' name. But YouTube has done some sort of system where they're trying to get people used to seeing this because they eventually want to switch to it. So that's the information I know about it.
Let's talk about the territorial concessions first, Hal. Where in eastern Ukraine are they
it's Hal Kemper. He's actually really good.
Are they talking about here?
Well, Austin, it's pretty significant because what they want is, and it's kind of going back to what Putin had talked about, is to give up the Donbass, to give up all the rest of Donetsk, and basically to give up all those oblasts that currently Russia is fighting over that it doesn't completely control. It would basically say, hey, give that up, give that to Russia, cede it to Russia. And then there's a provision in there which basically says that it won't be disputed anytime in the future, which I'm sure is not sitting well with the Ukrainians. It's not sitting well with the Europeans either. So that's there's a significant territorial concession there. There is Russia. I can't see anything where they.
Well, it's sad because we know people by what their screen name was, which is whatever they made it out to be, not their @ symbol, their handle. And so, yes, sometimes I remember your guys' names from your profile pictures. You know what I mean? That's the way that I've kind of correlated the name and the profile picture. But yeah, anyways, it's lame. I agree.
Concede any territory of Russia, not that Ukraine has territorial designs on any Russian territory, although they have held Russian territory at times during this war. But yeah, it's basically it looks.
That's negative, Charles. I looked up if there's any way that I can control that from my side, and it was an astounding no. I even ChatGPT'd that. I mean, seriously, I really looked that up because it was something that bugged me that much that I was like, if I could change that, then I would. So, yeah, I have no way to change it.
Very much like what was pushed out by the Kremlin some time back.
Unless they recently added something, I don't know.
Axios that Ukraine is likely to lose the territory anyway if the war continues. Does that feel accurate given what we've seen on the battlefield over nearly 4 years, Hal?
That's a Russian talking point. And Look, right now, there are some marginal gains that Russia has made at horrendous cost.
That's right, GEG.
They might, I think at some point, they could end up taking Pokrovsk. What it will cost them to take Pokrovsk is going to be horrendous when they actually figure out all the numbers. And they've made some gains, I guess, up around Kupiansk and a few other places. But they've been moving very slowly. There was an estimate out this summer that said at the current pace of the Russian advance, that they would seize the rest of the Donbass in 4 years. That doesn't sound like an imminent fall, but what's happening is Russia is having a lot of internal problems. Putin is probably getting more and more concerned that he's not going to be able to keep everything together to maintain the war effort and to, and there's probably going to be
What's up, Dragon Classy? Good morning.
threats to the regime itself that start to actually take greater formation. And so he would like to see this war end, but politically, he needs to end it in such a way that he can claim.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, we all know that as soon as there is peace between Ukraine and Russia, Zelensky is going to be voted out. I mean, as you guys know, he prevented, no more further elections until the war is ended. So now he's relying on this war to continue for him to stay in power. And he's got to have a really good exit plan, like, ready now, because that's exactly what's going to end up happening. So, yeah, I don't know how willing he's going to be to actually try to find some sort of peace here. So that's just the sad reality.
This was a victory, that he can claim that all these losses they suffered were somehow justified. And that's why he's stuck with this. And to accept anything less puts him in, I think, at least in his mind, certainly in political peril.
Let's say that a peace deal is made. How can Ukraine be assured that Russia won't simply resume?
Steve, I absolutely agree with this, and exactly why I don't give a shit either. What's pretty funny about it is if it's not United States, I honestly don't give a fuck. But here's the thing, like on a geopolitical level, what happens around the world obviously affects us, hence why we pay close attention on world politics as well. Geopolitics, world news, all that stuff. Nonetheless, truthfully, what I actually care about is only America. I don't give a shit about anyone else. Sorry, don't give a fuck. Just is what it is. It's America only, motherfuckers. In my opinion, I look at it as our money should absolutely go only to Americans. And then the rest of people, yeah, we can absolutely be good. We can be friends. There's nothing wrong. You guys can still travel back and forth. But our money's out for us, the benefit of Americans.
The war at a later date.
Ukraine is absolutely assured that Russia's going to resume the war at some future date. There is some language in there which says, basically to Russia, don't do it, don't do that. And then there's some language in there which I really kind of scratched my head on, which said, by the way, Ukraine, you're not allowed to invade Russia either. Okay. And all I can think is that language was to say you cannot do anything about that territory that you believe is actually sovereign Ukrainian territory that you have now ceded over to Russia. And that's what that looks like. But the way it's written, it does look kind of strange. And what it says, they absolutely cannot do this. But then for the Russian side, it says, by the way,
what a straw man of my position, David. You should be ashamed of yourself, fucking goofball.
Russia, if you invade Ukraine, the sanctions will come back on and other things will come back on. And it just, it's interesting the way it's written. I think from the Ukrainian standpoint, though, that they just don't see, they probably, at least right now, they don't see enough there that would dissuade Russia from simply seizing the territory that they have not been able to seize on the battlefield. And then using that territorial advantage, which is significant. There's a big defensive zone, which Russia has never been able to overcome in the last 3 years. And even if you want to go back to 2014, there's a defensive zone in Donetsk Oblast.
I don't have to do shit.
They've never been.
I don't have to do shit, David. You can fucking pay me to answer some shit. But, and even then, you can ask the question. I'll read your question, but it's up to me if I want to decide to fucking actually respond to your dumbass.
To penetrate. And it has territorial advantage for the Ukrainians from a defensive standpoint. It has advantages from a logistics standpoint. And if they were to move beyond that and take the entire Donetsk Oblast, they would be essentially in a launch position with advantages in terrain, advantages in a number of different things that would allow them to move quickly to try and seize territory, eventually toward a goal of taking Kyiv and then eventually taking all of Ukraine.
I know you saw this. Trump's special envoy for Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, told associates that he does plan to leave the administration in January, according to 4 sources who told Reuters this. Hal, is this coincidental timing that this is being announced around the same time as this new proposition?
My feeling was when I saw this announced yesterday before the 28-point plan actually came out, was that he wouldn't be leaving if he felt that there was something he could do there to make a big difference. But I think he knew that this was coming out. He knew this was underway. And, he's saying publicly that he signed on for a year and that year ends in January. But I think privately, he's probably, he's been a staunch advocate for Ukraine. He's an outstanding military analyst, national security analyst that's been looking at this thing for quite, since the war began. And I think that he's not seeing this go the way that he thinks it should go. And he's doing what someone in that position often does, which is you just quietly move aside because you realize your voice is certainly not prevailing in the room.
All right. So, I mean, we don't need to go way more in depth than we already have. I think this is a good amount of information for us regards to Ukraine and their 28-point plan or whatever the case is. Very interesting. There's going to be some concessions made, of course. Anyways, 6 hours ago, Trump administration proposed this plan for new oil drilling off of California and Florida coasts, which is actually, I think, a W because this can help bring down gas prices, diesel prices, etc. It can be a really good benefit. We have a lot of fucking oil here in the United States, and we should be utilizing our shit, not just straight up buying all of it outright from other countries. If we drilled it here, I mean, we do everything here. So why not get the oil here that we have currently? I mean, we've got a lot of oil.
Watching live now, I'm Austin Westfall.
Why does it start all so super low? There
Santa Monica, California. A rainy Santa Monica, that is. You can barely make out the Santa Monica Pier. We are hearing that the Trump administration announced earlier today new oil drilling off of the California and Florida coasts for the first time in decades. This is advancing a project that critics say could harm coastal communities and ecosystems.
Yeah, most of the time I do, you guys see the comments because I pop them on the screen, but you guys see that a lot of the bullshit I do, I don't recognize. You know what I mean? I actually show way more appreciation and love to the people that are actually trying to have a good faith conversation here. But when it comes down to assholes like that, once in a while I do fucking got to put them in their place.
This comes as President Trump is seeking to expand U.S. oil production. A live look at Tampa. Specifically, I believe this is actually St. Pete that we're looking at. Nonetheless, let's check in with Fox 13 Tampa's Brianna Arredondo. She's here with us. Brianna, what are you hearing about the latest?
Yeah, so Austin, I can tell you that some environmental groups actually sued the federal government earlier this week for...
Sounds gay as fuck.
Why are you gay?
The Trump administration's plan with this, and this was even before Florida became a bigger part of the picture. And so tonight they're saying that if this were to go through, that it would break a promise that President Trump made. Some changes may be on the horizon for Florida's slice of paradise.
And now this administration just said, nope, we're no longer going to protect it. It's open for business.
Martha Collins lives in St. Pete and heads up the environmental group Healthy Gulf. That organization, Center for Biological Diversity and others, sued the federal government this week for its initial plan to put more oil rigs in the Gulf.
Our lawsuit is asking the court to stop the Trump administration from issuing leases until...
Typical person right here. Look at this. Typical. You just look like a straight up environmentalist. How come it's got to look? I'm just asking questions. They all look the same. All libtards, I mean, dude, for the majority, the libtards have a look. And so do these green fucking scam people.
It fully complies with the law. So that means actually considering the environmental consequences of its actions.
The lawsuit argues the Fed hasn't done that yet. The plan auctions off 80 million acres for oil and gas drilling in the Gulf, and an expanded plan announced Thursday includes 6 offshore leases in the eastern Gulf, 100 miles off the coast of Florida. It's not something you'd see from the beach, but environmental advocates argue that doesn't matter.
That's always been a debate. I mean, if you see it, doesn't really exist. So the bottom line is whether you see it or not, you're going to feel and see the impacts of it.
Healthy Gulf took this video of infrastructure in other areas of the Gulf, saying what you see here is the tip of an iceberg.
I mean, it's not just a rig off the shore. There has to be a pipeline that gets that oil to the land. you know, and then there has to be a processing plant on land to be able to process that product.
Environmental groups say this breaks decades of precedent and bipartisan protection. It also goes back on Trump's own word when he signed a moratorium in 2020 on drilling off Florida's coast through 2032. U.S. Senator Rick Scott of Florida posting on X, Florida's coast must remain off the table. And Florida Democratic Party Chair Nikki Fried sent a statement saying, we are just 15 years past the horrific tragedy of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. To open our state up to another such attack on our precious natural resources would be a travesty. The office of Governor Ron DeSantis sent us a statement saying, in part, our administration supports the 2020 presidential memorandum and urges the Department of Interior to reconsider and to conform to the 2020 Trump administration policy.
W.
And the biggest
for DeSantis
concern here, of course, is for local tourism, as well as impacts to water quality and also the local wildlife as well, especially after the impacts from that 2010 oil spill. In the meantime, public comment for this will last about 60 days, and that opens up on November 24th. Austin?
All right, Brianna reporting for us live.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. We're on our last two stories here. So 3 hours ago, St. Louis airport shooting, 1 dead after a knife incident with airport police. Sounds kind of like a suicide by cop kind of situation here. Kind of like the same thing that we saw with, there's a lot of situations like this that's been happening. It's just kind of chaos.
To give you this live look here at the airport this morning, one person is dead after a shooting early this morning involving an officer at the St. Louis Lambert International Airport. Now, according to a spokesperson for the St. Louis County Police Department, the shooting occurred around 1 a.m. inside Terminal 1 of the airport, and the shooting involved an airport security officer. Now, we did just hear live there from officials, but we did get to that press conference just about 2 minutes late here. So what I wanted to do is start it from the beginning so you can get all those comments here in full right now.
We're going to do this for just a couple minutes and keep it going. Is everybody ready?
Oh, we're ready, woman. Let's go.
I'm Vera Clay, Public Information Officer for St. Louis County Police Department. This morning about 1 a.m.
Yeah, it was a humongous, news morning. Usually we report on about 6 to 7 news stories a morning, and this morning it was 16. So it's a lot.
Officers from the STL Airport Police were involved in an officer-involved shooting here in Terminal 1. The officers were doing routine security checks and clearing the areas for anyone who's not supposed to be in certain areas, and they did encounter an individual who refused to leave and displayed a knife. When the officers tried to get that person to leave, he refused to drop the knife and started to come at the officers, and less lethal was used. They did tase him first. They tried to use a taser. That individual continued to advance towards officers, and a second officer did fire his service weapon, injuring the suspect, and unfortunately, that suspect is deceased at this time.
So, Vera, was it in the Terminal 1 ticket area? Do we know what the gentleman was doing down there? What do we know?
I don't believe it was in the ticket area.
See, this is a good question that what do we know about this fucking shit?
It was in the Terminal 1, just outside of doors 1 and 2. There's some restrooms down there, kind of a larger area, but exactly where it occurred, I'm not completely sure of at this moment.
Did the officers think that were they concerned about where he was? Was he in a restricted area, or what prompted that response?
I believe it's because the individual was not here using the airport as travel. So we don't believe this was a passenger trying to catch an airplane or coming into town. So I'm sure they knew why this person needed to be removed from that area. What that specific reason is at this time, I'm not aware of. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, shit. Charles was right.
There were no other injuries reported to us, including officers. There were no officers injured, and we don't have any reports of anyone else being injured.
What was the response right after the shooting took place? Were there anybody else that had to be removed from the site at the time?
I'm not aware.
You be good out there, Flames. Always appreciate you coming in and into the chat. Hopefully you have a wonderful rest of your Fuck It Friday.
That at this time, I know that the officers attempted to provide life-saving measures to the individuals, and then our department was contacted.
What are the next steps for your agency in this investigation as it moves forward?
Right now, our Bureau of Crimes Against Persons detectives, they of course have been here for most of the morning. That scene is now cleared. They will take a look at all the evidence that's being presented to them, interview those officers, and take case responsibility and try to figure out exactly what happened here.
Vera, was the operation at the airport ever disrupted? I realize this was in the dead of the night, but was everything able to continue for the morning here, or kind of can you speak to that a little bit?
At this time, we don't believe any services for the airport were interrupted, but if I find out more about that, I will let you know.
Interesting. So, nonetheless, you guys, as you guys know, when developments happen from any of these stories, I will report whatever the developments are. All right, we're going to our very last story for the morning. This came out this morning about Mamdani. As you guys know, there is going to be this whole meeting that happens today at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time with Trump and Mamdani. So, yeah. And pre-recorded it. Nothing ain't pre-recorded here, motherfucker. Stop that shit. Stop the cap, motherfucker.
Stop the cap.
All right, back to this.
Are allowed inside. We'll bring you all of that live, raw, and uninterrupted, as we always do. I do want to bring in now Grant Reher.
Why is this low?
Professor
Let me bring it up.
at Syracuse University's Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs to talk.
All right, we'll see you on the flip side, Astro. Hopefully you have a great rest of your weekend as well.
More
great
about
start
what
to your
to
weekend.
Expect. Grant, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me back on your program.
Of course. And first off, I just want to ask you kind of the
W to the chat, by the way. We got on the horizontal side, 38 likes and 26 of you guys watching. That's a W, by the way. Great call out there, Agrillipus.
Overall question here, how significant is this meeting? Because we heard Mamdani say it's pretty much something that always happens, but how symbolic is it, and what does it really say?
Well, it could be potentially significant just given what each of them has said about the other and how important the president seemed to think this particular election was for New York City mayor, for the future of the city. And he, definitely weighted heavily into it, even to the point of endorsing his former nemesis, Andrew Cuomo. It really just depends on the meeting. There's different ways this could go. This could be sort of a President Zelensky type of effort on the part of President Trump to, bring to accept this meeting that Mamdani proposed, and then kind of turn on him. It could be something that is more potentially cooperative. I kind of expect actually what each of them to say at the end of this meeting and maybe during it is something similar to what Mayor-elect Mamdani said in your clip right there, that, they both care a lot about the city of New York. They both want the best for the city of New York, and where they can find overlap to advance those mutual goals, they will work along those lines. And, something very generic that way. But I think probably this is a bit political theater, and also
all of it's political theater. Are you kidding me? Of course. That's what this game is all about, bro. The game of politics is dirty as fuck. All right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it to the end here. Obviously, I cannot report Mamdani actually sitting down and having this whole discussion with Trump at the White House. That's not going to happen for us today. That's going to be happening at 3 p.m. Eastern, though. So if you guys are interested, you guys can find that on the mainstream somewhere, I'm sure. But we're going to most likely be talking about that meeting and how that meeting went on Monday, because as you guys know, we have tomorrow morning is our members only, which we don't talk about any of this shit that we do Monday through Friday. We actually try to have a fucking good time together. So be around if you guys are, we got a lot of new members today from, you gracious people that have donated some memberships to you guys. So make sure you guys check and see if you got a membership and be here for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern. And we always get down with our bad selves, man. So stick around for the raid. We're going to be sending you guys off to our buddy Carney's ride. He's live right now. Go ahead and show him some love and let him know we're coming through with the Mike Ball raid. All right. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Stay safe out there.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow, he takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels, here's Maxwell.